Welcome to On Track, a podcast where we talk with ag and construction professionals to find out how they keep their business on track. I'm Tori Weaver, Director of Sales for Ag and Construction.
I'm Alexandria Johnston, National Sales Executive.
And I'm Peyton Hines, the Brand Manager.
With us today, we have Laura Wilkas, the Marketing Director for Monroe Tractor and third-generation dealership owner. Laura, thanks for jumping on with us today.
Sure, no problem.
Let's kick it off with a little brag sheet. So to start, your dealership has grown to 15 locations. You're a third generation and female owner of the dealership. You've won AED's Bud Herman Emerging Leader Award. Your dealership has won the KCE Diamond Performance Award and the Best Big New Business in Westboro 2022. What's kind of running through your head when you hear all of that and all of those different awards?
Awards are really nice, but I think the biggest thing was just being extremely proud of all of that because, it's a great achievement, obviously, but there's been so many people that their hard work prior to me coming on board have allowed us to, reap the benefits of having those titles and such. My grandfather started the company and his hard work allowed for a lot of our employees to have successful careers. My mother, she's paved the way for a lot of our growth and success, as well as my brother. So, and our employees for sure. So, overall, extremely proud and happy to be with such a great team that we can say that we have, all these accolades and that as a team we've grown and developed and earned that.
So let's take a step back from that. You started your marketing career at Staples Corporation, which led you back to the dealership, which isn't a normal path. After that kind of expansion opportunity opened up with Case. So tell us about what that journey looked like for you and how it helped you make that final transition back into the world of equipment.
Sure. As I said, I'm a family member, third generation of the business, and I never once in my entire life, up until the opportunity was presented to me 10 years ago, thought that I would be working in the heavy equipment industry, specifically at a dealership. I went to school for art. I was the artsy one in the family. I had no correlation between the family business versus wanting to be in advertising. So I worked 10 years at the Staples headquarters and at that time had a family. And my brother came to me and said, we'd like to bring in the marketing for Monroe Tractor in-house instead of outsourcing it. And I said, well, that's great, but I'm not working for the family business. I don't see how what I do is transferable to what you're looking for. And he said, why don't you just look at the job description? And I said, all right. So I looked at the job description. I instantly said, where did you get this? Well, the internet. And I go, well, let me at least help you out with the job description so you get the right person, because I don't see how this is going to get you the right candidate to do all the things that you need to do. So I spent the weekend and it became clear that I was putting in a lot of effort, and I recognized that I was passionate about the position and that it's success for the company. And then I got toying around with, well, I'm going to be working with family. Is that something that I'm going to be able to, keep separate, because we are a very close-knit group? And then I thought, my grandfather's been so influential in my life, my mom as well, that this would really be a silly mistake to make to not take up this opportunity to work and learn with them and grow with them. So after several interviews, yes, I had to actually interview with non-family members, our general managers at the time, as well as negotiate some things with my mother as far as what I needed. I decided that I was going to take the position. And, it also took a lot for me to understand, all right, I have these skill sets and I can provide value to a heavy equipment dealership that I learned along the way as I was at Staples, I didn't just fit the same advertising mold that other people did. I tried to understand the business side of it. I tried to understand how advertising and marketing supports the growth and development and vice versa of a corporation. So it was really humbling to see just what I could do with my background and bring those set of skills to help Monroe Tractor grow and evolve to where we are today.
That's awesome to hear.
I love that. And I think every one of us can say we applaud you, as you are a fierce woman in the ag and construction industry, and we all applaud that.
Thank you.
So I'm going to lead into the next question, and it's a phrase that's the backbone of Monroe Tractor, is that we're there to keep you doing your job, which means if you take care of the people who take care of the customers, the business will grow. Can you tell us more about how you've lived this motto at the dealership with employees and yourself?
Yeah, of course. Well, the obvious is, you want to make sure that everybody has that brand promise and commitment to the customer front and center. So it's on our logo and short, just the tagline, and we're there to keep you working. We keep you working. And we also try to position ourselves to have all employees have the tools so that they can better serve the customer and have the decision making, knowing that they are supporting the customer and doing what's right for them so that they can make decisions to do what we all as a company feels right. And a lot of that comes from the values that we set in stone based off of the foundation of my grandfather's, taking care of the customers, that they'll ultimately give you the ability to grow your business. So instead of just saying it all the time, we try to create, well, we don't just try, we have created values that support our employees in who and what we want to be together, and how we support each other in taking care of the customer. So if we all have a set of these values that we live by and represent Monroe Tractor, then we're able to work together to provide better solutions for our customers, ultimately allowing us to deliver on that brand promise.
Yeah, so going with that brand promise and that value of customer service, a lot of our listeners are dealers just like you. We all know that running a business can have its challenges. There's things that you just can't plan or predict. There's been a huge shift in how our consumers are buying in the last few years, and a lot of dealership acquisitions, as we've discussed. What are some ways that you keep Monroe Tractor on track and ready for that growth and expansion?
One of the biggest things we've always done has been keeping a finger on the pulse of our customers and going out there and fostering a relationship so that we can learn from them and have a better understanding what it's like for them out there and what their needs are. We've done roundtables in the past, and a lot of it comes down to just our employees coming back and telling us, based on their relationships, what they're hearing. And we have an open door policy. Customers call my mother, Janet, whenever they need to. Our customers have come in and talked to her about things. So she has a pretty good sense, and the same philosophy for my brother. Always picking up the phone and having a conversation, and that really has stemmed from how my grandfather ran the business. More recently, though, with my brother and my brainstorming and another person on the leadership team, we adopted this system. It's called EOS. It's an acronym for Entrepreneurial Operating System. And what it does, it gives us a baseline of how we run the business, looking at lead indicators versus lag indicators. So, being able to say, all right, we want to get to here by the end of the year, but what are the things that are going to help us get there, and looking at the metrics on a weekly basis to say, okay, we're on track or we're not on track. Because it's one thing to look at your numbers at the end of the year and saying, oh, we didn't hit it, but you can't really do anything about that when it's already happened. So we try to just keep our fingers on the pulse of the set of metrics that we feel are going to get us to that goal that we want to achieve for the year. And we look at them as a leadership team, and then we identify, okay, this number is not trending in the right direction. What do we have to do? How do we have to shift things? How do we have to be strategic to get us to where we want to go? And we also have that, it's not just the leadership team doing that. We also have it happening at the stores and at different management levels throughout the company. And it's really been helpful. I mean, it's easy to say that everybody keeps an eye on the numbers, and I don't think anybody can have a business and not keep their eyes on the numbers. I think where we differentiate ourselves and where we've been successful is looking at them consistently and trying to identify how to make the numbers go in the right direction of where we want to go.
And I think sometimes taking that time to look at numbers as goals and not just a number as itself is so important. I think a lot of businesses, that's kind of where the pitfall is that they get stuck on a specific sales number or specific sales goal in that sense. But what are the different tactics we can take to get to that? And what are the different roads available to us? And they aren't always like one clear road or one specific path to that goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to your point, we've always been a company that looks at numbers, and sometimes that can get in your way of looking at how you need to shift the way you're doing business because you're so set on the numbers. So this whole system allowed us to look at things differently, and by setting up the goal. So it's funny, the art person, I hate looking at numbers, but I can tell you that if you say, this is the goal, how are we going to get there? That is a much easier thing for me to look at and achieve versus one number all the time.
And I think what's cool as a marketing professional, you aren't focused as much on the numbers, but you know that the numbers play an important role. My husband comes home every day and talks about ROI on robotics and things that build all of our machines. But at the end of the day, there's an ROI on our marketing. There's an ROI on sales. Like, we have to look at the ROI and how that plays into each specific role that we have at the dealership, right, at the OEM, et cetera.
Yeah. So I mean, we call it a scorecard. It's how we look at the numbers, and even marketing. My team, we look through the different campaigns we're doing, all the different things that we can measure, and we look at it on a weekly basis just to know that, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, and it's ultimately allowing us to help achieve the numbers of what the other goals are. So it really is a nice way to ladder up to the bigger picture.
Yeah. Talking about your team, I don't think everybody always realizes how many people it takes behind the scenes to survive, whether it be in marketing or just a dealership as a whole. If you will share with us how many people are on your marketing team, and then how many people make up your 15 dealerships?
So on my team, we are a team, including myself, of 3. And ultimately, it should be a team of 5, because we do still outsource a lot of stuff, and we're pretty nimble too, so it allows us to take more on. But as we grow and develop as a company, we're taking on more, and my role has evolved, so I'm shifting more into the leadership part of it and the day-to-day of what decision making that entails. So it's taking me away from doing that more hands-on stuff with my team. So currently we are probably about 275 employees for our 15 locations. Like all dealers at the moment, we are struggling with keeping people employed and in our dealership and hiring people. And everybody can relate to that right now, because I don't even think it's just an industry issue. You drive around and there's we're hiring signs. It seems like what's the point in having a sign that says we're hiring everybody? So,
yep. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
I love that though. And I think it is, we live by the lean and mean motto too. So there's not enough of us for what we do, but I think it also allows you a lot better collaboration in some instances when you have such a tight-knit relationship with your team and you can bounce ideas off of each other and you all kind of feel like you have a stake in that game. So
yeah, I mean, it gives them opportunity to learn more about the business, because the one woman on the team actually has been with the company since I was little. I mean, I remember coming in and going into her office and being like, and now she's on my team. So it's a little interesting, but she has such great background with the industry because she didn't just start in marketing, and she has that history. So now I have a new person or whenever I have a new person, it allows that person to learn a lot more about what it is that goes on at the stores and why our industry does what it does. So it's really been helpful in learning. And then that person brings their own skill set to help them learn as well. So
yeah, that's so neat. So there are a couple of questions that we ask everyone while we get to the end of the podcast. And the first one is, if you could go back and tell yourself one thing when you were starting your career, what would it be?
I think it would be, don't be so naive and be open-minded, because, I said I was going to do advertising and that's what I was going to do. And I knew when I got that advertising job at Staples that I was going to be this and this and this. And what I failed to realize is that, or I shouldn't say failed to realize, but I wasn't as open-minded to it, was that I'm constantly learning. And just because it's not the artsy fartsy part of advertising, I was able to learn from people who were in different positions in the company. I was able to understand what a brand is and how that translates through a company. And it gave me the ability to grow and develop and ultimately find the value that I can provide my family's business. So, I think if I had been more open-minded and not so naive, I could have grown faster, I guess.
I think that's awesome advice. And I bet every one of us can all say that where we're at is not the dream we had at one point in college, but it makes sense, it fits, and we're happy where we're at. So it's very interesting how the dream evolves, and how maybe what we once thought was, this was what I was going to do, turns into something much bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tori and I have that conversation a lot, just because this is not where I thought I would end up, but I love it. And I love that message that you provided to us and everyone else. It's clear, through our discussion that you are a leader in the agriculture industry, and we do commend that. What's some of the best advice that you've been given when it comes to leadership, if you wouldn't mind sharing?
Sure. I know I've spoken a lot about my grandfather and my mother, and, the advice that they've given me, it wasn't direct, like, here's my advice, but it's just things that I've recognized throughout growing up with them, as well as now being a part of the business. But my grandfather was always a great listener. He wasn't the one that needed to be talking. He always listened. And one of those things that I try to do is not try to beat everybody to the punch and pretend like I know everything. Try to understand what it is the person's talking about and why they might be feeling that way. And, understand that I don't need to know everything. And sometimes the truth hurts, but it only makes you better. But being open-minded and listening, I think, is really one of the biggest things. And then, that's the same for my mother. But one of the things that she really taught me when I was coming into this industry is you don't need to be the expert in everything. listen like your grandfather did, and she's a great listener as well, but you can only listen and learn, and then surround yourself by the experts. Don't be afraid to, show up at a meeting and not know the answers, but know that you have somebody that can answer those questions, and surround yourself with a team that, you can be better because of. So I think those two are the biggest things that stand out to me, is what I've applied to my leadership skills is, listen, and you don't need to try to know all the answers.
There's some good stuff there. I think especially too in today's world, we can get so overwhelmed with everything that we have going on and all that, I guess I would call it noise. That was really good advice. Laura, we genuinely appreciate you taking this time that you've set aside for us, talking with us. We're excited to see what yourself as well as your team at Monroe Tractor, what you guys do in the upcoming months and years. And we hope to stay updated and continue to share that. So thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. It was a great opportunity.
Thank you.
On Track is brought to you by TracTru, where we are here for you. We're professional problem solvers who use digital advertising and web design to help our clients thrive. Visit TracTru.com for more. That's TRACTRU.com.